G'day, I'm Matt and this is The Right Car, a channel where I help you find the right vehicle for your needs. Is the Toyota HiLux Rogue the right car for you? Well, if you've got $70,000 to spend and you want a diesel dual cab HiLux 4x4, it's the best one you can get. But there's a lot more to it than that, so stay tuned. I'm going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff about this car. Thanks for watching. I hope you are enjoying this new channel where I do car reviews a little bit different to everyone else out there. And tell me if there's any other utes you want me to review. I'll see if I can do it for you. Thanks. The HiLux Rogue is the top spec model in the lineup these days. It's more than $70,000 before on-road costs for this grade, so it does have a pretty high price tag. It does come with some extras over the SR5 models that sit below it though, and obviously it looks a bit different too, and that's because it's got a wider body, because it has, well, wider track front and rear. The track has been maximized to allow it better handling and capability on and off-road apparently, and so you've also got the flared arches, and it looks, well, a whole lot more beefy than the standard HiLux if you ask me. But tell me what you think in the comment section below. It comes extensively equipped in terms of interior gear as well. You've got a JBL sound system, sat nav, touchscreen media. You've also got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and leather seats with front seat heating too. There's a fair bit to talk about when it comes to the interior and in the tray as well. So let's get on with it. No prizes for guessing what the best alternative to the Toyota HiLux is. It's the Ford Ranger, of course. Now, I've done a bunch of review content on that vehicle. You can hit some links up here and that'll take you to the Cars Guide reviews I've done of the Ranger. But let me know if you'd like me to do a new, fresh take on that car. I'm planning to anyway with the new Platinum version, which is coming soon. But if you don't want a Ranger, what else is there? Well, you could look at the Volkswagen Amarok, which is essentially a new generation Ranger, but with different looks and a different interior. And it's coming very soon, and it's going to have some different options too. The top spec version is going to get a 2.3 litre turbocharged petrol engine. Interesting, right? There's also the Isuzu D-Max and Mazda BT50, which I rate pretty highly. I think they're both very impressive utes. They share a lot under the skin too, but let me know which you would choose in the comments below. I reckon this version of the HiLux has more road presence than any other one that's come before it. It's wider, and obviously it has the broader track, so it's got these wider arches too, which do pump out and give it a bit more stance and road presence. It's also a little bit higher, so it has a raised suspension by about 20 mils, a little bit more ground clearance as a result of that too. And there's side steps, thankfully, for the smaller statured out there to get in and out with a bit more ease. Now, I'm going to show you the tray because you're not going to believe what's in here. Dual cab utes these days have pretty similar tub dimensions. I'll put the HiLuxes on your screen now, but obviously it's got some different stuff going on back here. You've got this carpet lining inside the tray and on the tailgate here. It's Velcro attached, so you can remove it if you want to, and I'd say a fair few people probably will. It's also got an electronic roller cover for the tray, which is better than one of those manual ones, which you have to sort of throw back into the area there, but it does take up quite a bit of space at the headboard of this ute, and also means that you can't reach the front attachment points if you do want to tie down your load. There are two more tether hooks in the back as well if you do want to secure your load, but yeah, it's not ideal for everyone. I do wonder whether this sort of electrified roller cover will handle dust as well as, well, just a regular tonneau cover, but yeah, if you don't live in the outback, then it might not be a problem for you. There are two LED lights in there obviously as well. But one thing I also want to call out about the HiLux's tailgate is that it's not assisted like some of the other utes out there. So it does just sort of drop down very heavily, and it's quite a heavy tailgate, so it takes a bit of force to put back up. Does the interior of the Rogue feel any better than any other HiLux that's come in this generation? Not really, no, because I mean the existing SR5 was already okay, and this is still just okay. So if you don't want to spend extra money to just have an okay interior, then, well, this isn't going to be the right car for you. It's still got the same screen setup, the same plastics, the same materials, the same finish. just doesn't feel that special for what you're paying in here. Look, this one does get dual zone climate control, which is nice. There's heated front seats, and you've also got sat nav and CarPlay and that sort of stuff. There's these pod like JBL speakers that sit up on top of the dashboard and look really silly if you ask me. There's still the dual glove box thing over here, so it's got quite a sharp edge, and then there's another glove box below. That's pretty good in terms of storage, and other storage isn't too bad either. You've got a pair of cup holders up here. There's a little storage section for your phone, USB charger down there too, so you can connect up to the screen. There's a small storage section here, an open one where you might want to put your wallet or something like that. There's another storage section here under this armrest with a power point in there, which is nice to have. Bottle holders in the doors. Yeah, it's good enough, but it's not necessarily special. So let's check out the back seat. Maybe it was a little bit harsh on the front seat experience because there is ambient lighting in the doors, which is something at least. Otherwise, it feels quite dark in here. There's a dark headlining, dark tint, dark leather. So it all feels a bit, well, claustrophobic. This seat is set for my height or my driving position, 182 centimeters, 6 foot tall. I've only got a little bit of knee room, not very much toe room. Headroom, yeah, a bit cramped. And also, as something that's been a persistent annoyance for me in the HiLux in this generation, are these hard grab handles up here. Sure, they might be great to actually grab hold of, but if you're off-roading and you're a backseat passenger, that's gonna hurt if you go over a really big bump. And if you're loading in a child and you accidentally bump their head on that, as I did this week, yeah, it's gonna upset everyone involved. Look, it's something that should be easily avoidable. They don't need to be like that, so I hope Toyota fixes it. Another thing that Toyota needs to fix with the next generation HiLux is the top tether situation for child seats. Now, most other utes have simpler setups than this. You've got ISOFIX points in the outboard seats, but there's a single top tether hook up here where you can attach your top tether, but you've got to run it through these straps on the headrests or just underneath the headrests. Man, it's convoluted and it should be easier. And if you are going to put your seat in and out of your ute quite a lot, then it's going to annoy you. Now, there are other amenities back here that are, well, kind of good. There's some directional air vents. You've got mat pockets on the back seats. You've got these little flip down shopping bag hooks. There's bottle holders in the doors and a very bouncy center cup holder armrest. It's not too bad, I guess, but wow, certainly could be better. Under the bonnet of the HiLux Rogue, you'll find the same engine as is in most 4x4 versions of the HiLux. It's a 2.8 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel, and you'll see the power and torque outputs on your screen now. They aren't setting any new standards in this class, and if you do want more power and torque, you're going to have to wait for the GR Sport version of the HiLux, which is coming very soon, with a sizable kick up the backside in terms of grunt numbers. It's still got a 6-speed automatic transmission and selectable 4-wheel drive, and towing capacity is 750 kilos for an unbraked trailer, or up to 3.5 tons for a brake trailer, just like most other utes in this class. So what does the HiLux Rogue like to drive? Well, it is better than some of the other HiLuxes I've driven in the past, and a lot of that has to come down to the extra track width available to you. It does feel more sure-footed of itself, and also it does have just a slightly better ride quality and comfort. Look, it is still a very hard riding vehicle. HiLuxes of this generation have been criticized throughout the generation for being probably the hardest riding utes in the class. And if you want something that is more comfortable for day-to-day duties, a Ford Ranger is going to tick that box for you, so choose it instead, is my advice. It hasn't had any changes to the engine and transmission, no power and torque bump, so that stays the same. But that's not a bad thing. The HiLux has always had enough power and torque, I reckon, in this application with this powertrain. Sure, the 2.4 litre diesel in the Workmate isn't necessarily as perky, but this one, it's got heaps of grunt. I don't necessarily think you're going to need much more grunt than this in Australia, at least, because, you know, you get up to 110 and that's as fast as you can go. So too bad if you want to go faster. I mean, too bad for your license. The transmission is mostly very good, although you can notice that it is a little bit assertive with the way that it engine brakes downhill, so it'll drop back a cog and let the engine rev out to help you slow down when you're going downhill. That might be good if you've got a big load or you're towing something very heavy. In some situations you might be thinking, why are you revving at 3,500 revs just to go down this hill? I've always found this generation of HiLux to be an absolute beast when it comes to off-road testing. I'm not doing an off-road test in this review because it's not part of what I'm trying to achieve with this video. But if you do want me to do an off-road review, let me know in the comments section below and I'll see if I can get to it, whether it's this ute or any other one. The steering has always been one of the HiLux's good points as well, because it feels very natural in the way it behaves. So it just turns when you turn it. It's not an electric steering system, it's hydraulic. So that's why it feels a little bit more natural to steer. It's got good weighting to it and good feel through the wheel as well. One thing that is different between the other HiLuxes and this is that it does have disc brakes at the back, and you can feel that it is slightly more responsive when it comes to braking. I reckon the HiLux Rogue is the best driving HiLux to date. It's not nearly as good as a Ford Ranger or, in my opinion, day-to-day living as good as a BT50 or a D-Max as well. In fact, there's a whole bunch of utes that I would choose for my personal preference in terms of ride comfort and steering and engine, all of those things that I've already mentioned in this section. But look, it's a HiLux, and if you want one, you're gonna buy one. The official combined cycle fuel consumption figure for the HiLux Rogue is 8.4 litres per 100 kilometres. If you can achieve that, you're doing very well, because in pretty much every single example of the HiLux that I've driven throughout this generation, I've seen closer to the figure that you'll see on your screen now across a mix of driving. And look, I've done load tests and towing tests where it's been higher, but on average, if you're just driving around like I am, this is what you're gonna see, about 10 litres per 100 Ks. So you're gonna be okay with that. It's not too bad. The HiLux Rogue comes with a bunch of standard safety equipment, including autonomous emergency braking. So it will slam on the brakes for you if it thinks you're not going to, and that counts for whether it's a car or a pedestrian or a cyclist. And then there's also lane departure warning, no active lane keeping assistance like in a Ford Ranger, for instance. It's also got blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. And it also has a surround view camera. So there's a top-down view if you want to see what's going on around the car. Front and rear parking sensors are standard as well. Yeah, it's not at the forefront of safety tech, but it is up to date at least. Toyota Australia offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which is about the standard you'll find across most brands these days. There is also an extendable element to the warranty program though. So if you service your HiLux on time and you have logbook servicing stamps to prove it, then it will be eligible for an extra 2 years of powertrain warranty, which is good to know. There's also a cap price servicing plan, but services are every 6 months or 10,000 kilometres. So if you do a lot of Ks, it might appear cheap on paper, but it might actually end up costing you a fair bit to maintain this car. There's no roadside assistance included, and you'll have to pay for it if you want it. There you have it, the HiLux Rogue. It's the best HiLux you can buy, but not necessarily the best ute you can buy if you ask me. Tell me what you think though in the comments section below. And if you haven't already, please do join the community. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you can keep up to date with everything I'm doing, and leave a comment if there's any utes you want me to cover. Also, buy some merch. If you do, I'll love you forever. Bye.